Good evening, Real Money Coach family. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am glad that you are here. Put in the chat where you're watching from. Come on into the program. Come on into the show and let us know where you are watching from. I see that you dialed in. I see some people already are online watching us tonight. And listen, we have a very, very important show tonight. This is a very, very important show. Charles from LA, thank you for being here all the way from California. Charles, a very faithful listener. It was good to see you on the Zoom Sunday night as well. Thank you for being here as we discuss this very important topic because y'all, it is election time and we're 28 days from the big election. And so we're going to continue to bring you information that I think will help you in your decision making. Certainly, we hope that you will be encouraged to not only take yourself to the polls, but also make sure you take somebody with you. You need to take your ride and die, your best buddy, your enemy, your neighbor from across the street, whoever it is. If they'll get in the car with you to go to the polls, you want to take them. And I'm very excited about a lot of different things that we have going on. It's been a busy fall for me. I'll talk a little bit about that with my co-host when I bring her on here in a few minutes. And you all know who that is. That is Michelle Mitchell of Mitchell Consulting. And so she is here in the house with me as well as our special guest. And so we want you to be engaged in the conversation tonight. Make sure that you use that chat feature to let us know and to talk to us. Alice Martin, thank you for being here. It's always good to have you here. And I think we will probably throw this in the chat at some point too. We may even throw the link, trying to get it out. We may even throw the link in the chat of how if you are a guest and you're really compelled to say, I have something that I want to say. I don't want to say it in the chat. I want to come on screen and say it. We're going to put that link out there that you can do that. Now, listen, if you come in here talking all crazy, we'll just take you off, right? But that's how that works. So let me do this. Let me just bring my co-host on. Let's bring Michelle Mitchell on from Mitchell Consulting, all the way from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Hey, Michelle.
Hey, Tony, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. It seems like it's been a minute. Is time flying like that or what? So
it's been a little minute.
It's been a little minute. So how you doing?
I'm doing good.
You doing good? Good.
Yes.
What's going on with Mitchell Consulting? I mean, this is Q4, right?
Q4.
And it's going by so fast already. I was like, today is the 8th of October. It seems like
I'm like, it was just the first.
I know.
So I don't know. I keep talking about how time is going so fast, but
So a lot of things have happened since we're here live. We've had these storms.
Yeah.
And it's really hit the Carolinas pretty hard, up in the mountains in particular. So we do want to just make sure we shout out in our prayers to all those who are being affected by Helena, and then those who may be in the path of the new storm. What's the new storm name? Is it Melvin or something like that? We'll have to clear that up. We'll have to find that out. But anyway, I had some clients calling me today. They were ordered to evacuate and those type of things. So we want to keep everyone in our prayers as far as that goes. Even down in Greenville, where one of my assistants, Adele, is, that city's been without power.
Really?
Much of it has been without power for a while. And so pretty devastating. So
yeah, it is.
So any tips you want to give our business owners tonight as they go through? Is there any quick tips coming right off the top of your head, Michelle?
Quick tips off the top of my head. Make sure you have your protections in place for your business, like protections, like your insurance policies. Make sure they're up to date. Make sure like your equipment, you have a backup of whatever is on those pieces of equipment somewhere else, or you're in a cloud, so that if you had to leave your location, at least your business records are safe. You can get
Mhm.
to them. Make sure you have like a password protection, because a lot of times, like a password keeper, something like that, because a lot of times we can secure documents in those password keepers
Mm.
where we're able to, if we can't get the physical copies of an insurance policy, we can put them under lock and key in a digital format, so
Absolutely.
that's one of the things to safeguard your business. You should have a paper copy and you should have a digital copy.
Digital. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the things to safeguard your businesses. Make sure your employees know what to do in the case of an emergency and you can't get back to your place of business. You need to have a contingency plan, but that's planning ahead of time, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Planning before something happens.
And,
Um,
and everything that you're doing on the business side, it also applies on your personal.
mhm,
And as I was mentioning, I was talking to a client today that is ordered to evacuate, and she
mhm.
said nowhere she couldn't go anywhere where they would accept her credit or debit card. And
What?
so yeah, she said everyone was cash only, right?
Cash
And
only.
cash only.
That's
And you
well, that
think
it
about
makes
it, it
yeah, if
makes
you think
sense,
about
right?
it. It does make sense.
Yep.
Mhm.
And but I think about, we don't normally keep a supply of cash around,
True.
you know, and
That is true.
so at least not anything significant. I mean, I might have a couple dollars to get a grandkid or something, but it's so
Unless you me, you know you know,
unless you're you.
unless you me, I have a little bit over here and a little bit over there,
Yeah.
get a
And
couple $100.
we can put our hands on it. We can put
That's
our
right.
hands on it. Do
Yes.
want to shout out to Timothy Day in Durham, North Carolina. Did a wonderful job as we were talking about the tax implications of Project 2025 and that type of thing. And so, whew, this election, this election.
Ugh,
So, did you see the interview last night on 60 Minutes? Kamala
I did
Harris.
not.
Yeah, it was a good interview.
Was it?
Yeah, man, we'll talk a little bit about it with our guests tonight
Yeah.
because a lot of people were saying the interview. I thought it was a good interview, right? I
Mhm.
I didn't think it was like anything that if I wasn't already that it would push me over the top. But the thing about it was the absence of one candidate made it seem that
Mm.
that's telling to me. Sometimes it's not what you say, but what you don't say
Mhm.
and make an impact. So I thought that was kind of interesting that the other candidate did not decline to come on and do an interview. It wasn't going to be a debate; it was just separate interviews.
Right.
So
Yeah.
all interesting times that we're living in as far as these elections, and I wonder how these storms coming through and all that is going to have any impact um, on it as we get closer to. So.
Yeah, because it's disrupting a lot of people, you know,
Yep,
who are voters.
yep.
Like, they're disrupted. So how do you vote
How do you vote?
when
And so you're seeing
maybe
some.
your license flew away in the flood? Like, how do you do that?
Oh yeah, so the
Yeah.
whole ID thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
true.
ID thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
How do you
true.
do that?
And
Hmm.
then there's been some extension of deadlines and that type of thing.
Mhm.
Last week, Michelle, I was down in Fayetteville, North
Yes.
Carolina, with the Mary Kay ladies, right? And
Yay.
with those ladies driving those pink Cadillacs. So
Right.
great time down there. Um, one event that I was supposed to be at last week got moved in Greenville because of no power.
Mm.
And then coming up here on the 22nd, I'll be with Master P
Oh,
down at New Birth
mm.
with Jamal Bryant and some
Okay.
other folks. And then to Chicago with Boyce Watkins that same week. So my
Wow.
travel schedule has been like boom, boom, boom. I was like,
Yeah.
a lot even for me. What's going on? I'm just blessed to be able to do it and take care of my
Yeah.
and do all that good stuff. So,
Yeah.
and then of course, also second week in November, I'll be with Derek. I'll be back
Oh, okay.
to Fort Worth with First St. John's
First
Baptist
St.
Church.
John. Yeah.
So
Nice.
going back to Texas.
Back to Texas.
Back to Texas.
Yeah. Well, I'll be there next week. So
yes,
yeah.
I'll be waiting to hear a lot about the wedding and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So listen, Michelle, we're going to take a quick break, show a couple commercials, and then we're going to come back with our special guests. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this whole political landscape that we're in. We're going to talk about the vote and the power of your vote. And maybe why do you think they want to take that away from us?
Interesting.
Must be a reason. All right. Let's roll with the commercials, Dante.
Take control of your finances today with the Real Money Coach. Our free financial wellness checkup offers personalized insights and strategies to secure your financial future. Don't miss out on the clarity and confidence you deserve. Visit www.therealmoneycoach.com now. That's www.therealmoneycoach.com right now to start your journey towards financial freedom. Your future self will thank you.
Do you have passion for your business but feel like your finances are falling short? Running a business takes more than a great idea. It takes a solid financial plan. Mitchell Consulting can help you turn your passion into profit with their financial advisory services. Get the financial guidance your business needs. Contact Mitchell Consulting to learn more about their passion to profit capabilities.
All right, Michelle, for those who happen to be listening and not watching, maybe they're catching the podcast on one of the podcasting outlets. How do they get a hold of Mitchell Consulting?
Sure, you can go to mitchellconsultingservice.com.
mitchellconsultingservices.com. Book a time.
Yes.
Make an appointment.
Book an appointment.
All of that.
We're not scary.
And for me, and listen, y'all better get it right because we're about to end 2024. You want to go into 2025 on the right foot, right?
Yes.
So, and then for me, as always, you can go to therealmoneycoach.com, the Real Money Coach on all social media outlets, and book yourself a free consultation appointment so we can help you get your personal money right.
That's right.
Michelle gonna help you get your business money right.
That's
and then
right.
You're just gonna be right.
Yes, that's right.
Well, listen, we have a wonderful guest. Silvia Lake is with us. She is the founder of Vote America, Save the America Vote. And I'm excited because she's an activist. She's actually an actress. And so she has been very active in this movement. Has really educated herself on Project 2025 and other things as it relates to the political climate. And so without any further ado, we're going to bring her on stage with us, and she can give us a little bit more about her background and how she got involved so deeply in this movement. So without any further ado, hello there.
Well,
I love the applause.
See, you're an actress. You're used to all those applause and stuff.
Oh, yeah. So much applause. Yep.
Yeah. So, Silvia, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I've been weather watching all day. So I'm happy to be talking to some people and not just watching clouds go by.
Right, because you're in Florida. You're in the state of Florida. So obviously there's a lot going on in Florida today and over the last few days.
Right. I mean, we've been North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, like everybody, we're all in the same Texas. Like, you never know. Mother Nature, she's real.
Yeah.
And in this whole thing about global warming and all that kind of stuff that people want to ignore, it's real. I mean, and we see the impacts of it across the country. So if you don't mind, would you spend just a few minutes just giving us a little bit of your background and how you became, maybe bring us up how you became the founder of Protect America Vote?
Okay. So I am Indigenous and Mexican, born in Minnesota, raised in Austin, Texas, Houston and Austin. And then I have been in Los Angeles for the past 16 years. And we have been losing a lot of work from the strikes. So I read Project 2025. I graduated from St. Edward's Catholic University in Austin, Texas. And my capstone, the thesis question was, in 2007, I answered the question, should churches who practice politics from the pulpit pay taxes? And that was in 2007.
Wow.
And there wasn't a lot out there, but let me tell you, there's a lot now. The lines are no longer blurred. They are, it's just gone. It's like free. Like, I can't even believe it. How much has changed in such a short amount of time. So, yeah, I just packed everything and gave everybody a bunch of stuff away, grabbed my dog, and came out to the reddest state I could think of, which was Florida.
Wow.
Yeah. And I got involved with the Democratic Party here in Bay County. They're wonderful. I interviewed with the Biden campaign for 3 different states. And by the time they came around to hire me, I had a vision that every time I heard somebody on TV or anywhere say, Google it, Google it, Google it, I just, from my research, going to a lot of meetings here with the NAACP during Juneteenth, I helped a young lady campaign for a seat. Between talking to everybody, I was just like, no, this is something that we need to have discussions about. So I created the website, and I also made this brochure, and it has little codes here for vote.org for my website, and then for the Wikipedia page. It's hard to get 900 plus pages into one little leaflet, but I wanted a talking point. I wanted something people could hold in their hands and a quick guide. I read all 30 chapters, and as you guys know, it was written by 30 different people, so it's all over the place. Some of the stuff contradicts each other. They were able to get in Clarence Thomas, Trump. They referenced the Twitter files. It was like one chapter is written, like a Bible verse, then the next one is written with references, and the next one, it was just like, wow. But it was worth it because every time I learned more and more. So I pass these out at the meetings, and I hope that people treasure them and take them around and show them to people. And the question that's asked on here is, which one of these Americans are affected by Project 2025? And then you read this different things inside, and it tells you in the back, everyone, literally everyone is affected. So my whole goal is to get everybody to vote. I'm not personally trying to change people to vote, to change their voter status. I'm not trying to do all that. I'm trying to get all Americans to get in there and vote for America's freedoms. It's on the line in the biggest way possible. And I can't stress it enough. So can I get a little bit into what I've learned? And I know voter suppression is the main topic for Project 2025. So I want to give you guys a little bit about the history and why voter suppression is important for their main goal.
One of the things I wanted to mention, and that we can veer off that topic too, by the way, but one of the things is that, if those 30 authors about 25 of them served in the Trump presidency when he was his administration. They had some type of cabinet position in there. And I think that the count is that he is mentioned, although he doesn't know anything about it, he's mentioned 316 times
Right.
in that document. And so, but you know, what I tell people is that it's not just the top of the ticket that we have to be concerned about.
Yeah,
it's not just that we're voting for president, because if we put whoever you feel is the right person in office at the top, it does not prevent us from having to deal with a lot of things that are in that Project 2025. And so you can have a Democrat as a president, and if you don't control the houses, if you don't control the lower chambers and all these other things that can happen, many of the things that we do not like about Project 2025 still could happen.
Well, they're already happening.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Florida is that's where they're the testing site.
It's the
they've already loosened the regulations for drinking water. They've already forget about the arts. They defunded the arts. I have a whole list.
At the forefront of the critical race theory too.
Yes,
was Florida. So
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So just a little bit about Project 2025. So the Heritage Foundation was founded in 1973 by Joseph Coors. He's the main founder. And then in 1981, the early 80s, they presented the very first version of Project 2025, because there's been 9. They presented it to Ronald Reagan, and he implemented about 60% of it into what we call Reaganomics. We all know how that worked out for us. And someone notable to talk about is Jenny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's current wife. Jenny Thomas was a member of a cult in the 80s, the early 80s, called LifeSpring. And then after that, she was rescued. There's a whole documentary on it. She was rescued, and she worked for the cult that went and kidnapped people in the middle of the night and made them switch over. She worked for that company for two decades. And it's important to note that they don't claim her anymore. They are like, we don't know who she is. We don't know why she's acting like this. She knows that, like, the whole QAnon stuff and that whole movement, they completely disown her as part of their group because of this. So Jenny Thomas is a member of the Heritage Foundation, and she worked for the Heritage Foundation. So then we have Clarence Thomas, who graduated from Yale Law, and at Yale, Harvard, and Chicago, some law students there, they created the Federalist Society. The Federalist Society are the SCOTUS Six, Clarence, Roberts, Gorsuch, Alito, Amy Coney Barrett, and Brett Kavanaugh. They are also Ron DeSantis. They're Ted Cruz, Josh Hawley, Eileen Cannon, the lady that kept, J.D. Vance's wife clerked for both Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh. So it's just a great big, whenever you start looking into what's like happening around, if you Google Federal Society, yes, they're members. So the big billionaire on top of them that funded them, his name is Barry Seid. And Barry Seid, he is in his 90s now, but he's given $1.6 billion to Leonard Leo to orchestrate his whole movement. It's called Attack Philanthropy. So Attack Philanthropy, that means climate denialism, which we're standing on the shoulders of these. I mean, the gaslighting could not be more broader. It's like, what do you mean there's no climate denial? I mean, what? Climate. Yeah. And then also deregulation of businesses and their oversight. and then Medicare, Medicaid, all kind of healthcare. He's anti all of that. So he's the money behind the movement. And then Leonard Leo does all of everything else. He's noted as one of the founders. So you have that group of people pushing Christian nationalism. And this isn't like, yes, they're all Catholics and mostly Catholics, I believe all Catholics in the Federal Society, but they're Opus Dei. Like Leonard Leo is that small section of Catholicism, of Catholics, that even the Pope frowns upon. Like the Pope has set up all of these channels that if he were to pass away, there wouldn't be a takeover by Opus Dei. So it's like that. So then it brings me over to a group that was formed, a charity that was formed in 2018, and they're called Ziklag. Have you guys heard of Ziklag?
I have not.
No.
Okay, so King David stopped in Ziklag, and there was a big battle there. They chose this town, Ziklag, to name their charity Ziklag. And if you are in Ziklag, you're a Ziklagger. Ziklaggers believe that prophets walk the earth and Trump is their prophet. They also believe that some of the members are apostles. Okay. Yeah. So some of the notable, there's like 125 wealthy Christian nationalists in Ziklag, and some notable people might recognize are the Greens and the Uhlines. The Greens own Hobby Lobby, and the Uhlines own Uline Plastics. And there's also Jockey Sportswear. They're also members of Ziklag. So the Ziklaggers, they have a database, and there's about 10,000 people in their database. So whenever if the GOP were to take presidency, which I hate to even say that out loud, it, like you mentioned, I heard in one of your interviews before that the presidential transition, right? It is so important for everyone to know that if Trump were to find himself on the wrong side of a balcony tomorrow and the GOP won, this is still getting pushed through. Right. Like we said, it's already happening, right? Yeah. So the very first day, they want to just fire up a bunch of what they call bureaucrats, loyalists to Biden, loyalists to Obama. So they want to use the people in their databases to cover all those seats, that way they don't say no to Trump or whomever they deem. So, and like I said, JD Vance, he is in this group. His wife clerked for the right people. He's also a member of the Federal Society. And he also worked for Peter Thiel. And Peter Thiel, he is one of the founders of PayPal with Elon Musk. I think Elon Musk went on vacation and then they let him go, but he did okay, right?
Right.
Yeah, he bounced back. Anyway, Peter Thiel, he gave JD Vance $10 million to buy his seat, and that's why JD Vance is in our political realm. And again, JD Vance worked for Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel has a company called Palantir or something like that. And it's an app and it collects data. So what they did is when Trump was in office and they were separating people at the border with ICE, Peter Thiel used his application and earned $127 million just off that application. So the new vision is menstrual tracking. So they want to put monitors on women so they can track their menstrual cycles. And that's part of his Peter Thiel's his whole premise for his application, for his app. So everybody has some hands in this, Now,
Wow.
as far as voter suppression, the only way, okay, so the Ziglaggers, and I sent you guys over a link for this so y'all can pass this on to everybody watching. The Ziglaggers, they have 3 pillars of operation to take over the presidency. One of those is called Operation Checkmate. Operation Checkmate is where they want to find votes that were lost in the last election. One of their members is that they've given $600,000 to is Cleta Mitchell. She's out of Georgia. She was the one that was the attorney that was on the phone call when Trump was looking for those votes. So she has founded, through their money and sources, she has founded what's called election integrity coalitions. Their entire premise is to purge voters, and she now has some sort of app. It's called Eagle AI, and they want to kick out unsecured voters or people who aren't eligible to vote. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the only 4 people that were charged with voter fraud in the 2020 election were out of the villages, and they were Republicans. They were people who voted for Trump more than once. That's it. America doesn't have a big voter fraud, but that's part of the Operation Checkmate, is to get in there and to create election fear, election not, things that are not true. Exactly.
It's interesting because here in North Carolina, earlier this week or late last week, they purged 750,000 voters from the voter roll.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the deadline to pre-register to vote was only a few days after that.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Well, North Carolina is on that list. They in the article, they state that is one of their states that they focus on. Nevada, Georgia, Arizona, Wisconsin, Florida, basically the swing states.
Yeah.
So yeah, they are laser focused. They're not putting billions into it, hundreds of millions of dollars. They don't need to. They're faith-based, and their people that work for them are willing to work for a lot less than others would be. So there is a gentleman that I follow. I don't know if you guys know him or not. Mark Elias. Have you heard him? With the Elias Law Group in Washington, D.C. He has he's a miracle worker. He has a website called democracydocket.com.
Okay.
And all he does for, I believe since 2016, is he has fought the GOP on voter suppression. Right now, they have 165 open cases. 167.
167.
Yep.
Wow.
19 pending in 37 states. 19 in Georgia, 17 in Pennsylvania, 15 in North Carolina, 14 in Wisconsin, 12 in Arizona. If you guys follow anyone, I mean, if you want to know anything about voter suppression or follow this man, Mark Elias. They hate to see him coming. He does not lose very many cases.
Yeah, and he's won most cases. Yeah,
exactly. He's so fantastic. But if we need somebody with, he's just a great guy. I mean, the Elias Group, they're in a lot of states, and I post his when there's a win and when there's a loss, because I think we need balance, But I like to tell people, Georgia, shout out. It might not feel like we're there for you, but we are, And back to Project 2025, with the weather that we're having right now, it's no secret that Mike Johnson does not want to allow everybody to come back to the floor and vote for more funding for FEMA.
Mm-hmm.
Well, FEMA is one of these programs that they want to completely defund and make them look bad, because when in Project 2025, that's part of their plan, is to end it. They want to end and the whole reason what they want to end the oceanic, the people who are flying planes in right now into the eye, telling us how fast these things are going. Like, the whole reason why they want to end it is because they want to go corporate. They want to privatize
They want
it.
to privatize it. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
FEMA,
Exactly.
the whole thing. Yeah.
All of it.
Yeah.
They want to make money. That's all that it's about. They want to sell it to the highest bidder. And so that just means losing a lot of jobs, losing a lot of protections, because they're also going to do away with the labor laws as we know it.
Yeah.
So everything is wrapped up together. It's a lot of you pending. Basically, all of the good things that we got out of the Obama administration that he could pass, and everything that the Biden administration has done with the infrastructure bill and CHIPS and Science Act, and and then the other stuff like Head Start and for kids and the WIC program. Like, it's never ending, all of the programs that they want to end. But it's really easy. I just, it pains me that, well, I'm glad that we have the president that we have, because if the first day in office, Donald Trump wants to make the National Guard, he wants to deputize them, and he wants to send them out in the streets to gather immigrants and to put people who aren't loyalists in concentration camps. Thankfully, with our President Biden right now, what he's doing is he has sent 7,000 National Guardsmen, federal employees, to go out and help the people for Hurricane Milton that's about to hit Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to get the word out and let people know, even though you might hear it like this on one way. I mean, FEMA had to do an anti-defamation. They had to put, for the things, or to curb all the lies that people were saying. Yeah, anti-defamation. I don't think that was the right word, but they had to create an entire web. That's just extra work.
Right.
These people
it's taken away from the people who need the resources and need the services, because they're spending all this time combating. Even on NBC News tonight, they were just talking about how that they have to do because of the misinformation that's out there. And so, Silvia, you really have become really a student of all of this.
Yes.
I'm impressed at all that you are rattling there. So for the everyday person who maybe is just sitting watching tonight, what do we need to do to be involved and to make sure that we're doing our responsibility when it comes to voting? What suggestions do you have for the audience tonight?
I think the easiest thing you can do right off the bat is follow someone like the Mark Elias Group or Democracy Docket. Read the facts. Something else that you can do, like what I did in Bay County where I live, is I went to the actual office and I watched them work the machines as oversight. I wanted to make sure that the ballots were going to be counted. So I went up to my SOE office, and the Secretary of Elections, Nina Ward, and stood there. And, I think that you also, volunteering is great for parts of the U.S. that are hit. I think mostly you end up working with, I do work also, volunteer work with World Central Kitchen. So I would do work during the fires in California, or working the voting lines in Texas, in San Antonio. So now they're doing things for the floods here in the States. when you go and you do these things, you're working side by side with people that have lost absolutely everything. If you put yourself next to people who are there, be brave and ask them, do you have a plan to vote? How are you going to vote? Were you able to keep your ID? Do you need an application to, be up on the facts of where people, can, I know that in North Carolina just today, they decided that they were going to, make adjustments, like you said, and they're going to extend hours. They're going to figure out new places, bring people in from other counties to help people vote in the places where everything is washed out. So get involved with that.
And you know what's so interesting about that is that if you look at some of the places where they want to do that, the reason why North Carolina has become a priority is because many of the counties that have been affected are red counties. A lot of the blue counties, like Charlotte, like some of the other cities, have not been impacted as much as it has some of these red counties. And therefore, there's this effort to put more resources. Former President Trump was praising Elon Musk in Asheville for putting money there and all those type of things. I do want to just kind of talk about a couple of things that were mentioned in the chat. For what one is someone said, thank you for all your time. It needs to be said. People are so misinformed. And then Charles asked how he could get a copy of the flyer. And Charles, what we will do is I will post that inside of the private Facebook group that we have for the Real Money Coach. I will post those flyers in there, that flyer in there. I'll post a link so that you can go there and check that out. So.
Okay, great. Yeah. I think the biggest thing too is be a poll watcher, or, you can sign up to do that. One of the lawsuits is the RNC is upset in that county because there's more Dems than there are Republicans. Well, guess what? In Florida, there are 20% of the people here who are registered Republicans who can't change their voter status to Democrat because their employer would not accept them working there. Like, that's how hard it is here. So, I mean, so what are you going to do? That's what I'm saying.
Well, and that's important. I think it's important too, because we get all caught up in, Democrat versus Republican. But when you step in that booth, you need to vote with conscience.
Yes.
It's not, I even preached the other day about that some people's alliance to their political party is stronger than their alliance to God, right? And so, they'll sell their soul to be confident, to be committed and show their allegiance to a political party. And we need to stop that, right? We need to stop that. And I love what some people are saying. Timothy Day said he signed up to be a poll observer in Durham. And I think that's great. I'm glad you're mentioning that because many of us could do that. Alice Martin said, thank you for the eye-opening information. Project 2025 will eradicate social safety nets, right? And so we know a lot of this stuff is true. And, my thing that I wanted to do with this platform was to expose it to as many people as we can, because I think if we don't know what's going on and we're not exposed to what's happening, we will stay home and not vote and those type of things. And so, and I know Vice President Kamala Harris has been spending a lot of time in Michigan, Michelle. She's been spending a lot of time there. They've been here a lot. In North Carolina as well. So these swing states are awfully important. Awfully important. So as we prepare to close down, Ms. Lake, what else? Any other last words or thoughts that you would have, or even other websites that you could recommend that people would check out and those type of things in terms of, because I'm thinking that it's very important that you know the rules of your state. I mean, we have multiple states that are on here tonight. For example, in North Carolina, if you haven't registered to vote and you go to early voting, you can register and vote the same day, the same time. Where in South Carolina, you can't do that, right? So you got to kind of know your state and what the laws are. I know we are going to be doing a Souls to the Polls campaign where we're all going to go at one time and that type of things. And so, but anything else that you could share that would be helpful for people who are watching across the country?
Sure. Visit my website, protectamericavote.com. Wait, did I say that right? Yeah. And then volunteer, vote early. Vote early so that way you know your vote counts.
Yes.
Vote early. And I'm not a fan of mailing in your ballot. I don't trust the joy.
I don't trust the mail at all, right?
Right. All these postcards, I'm like, ladies, mail one to yourself and see how long it takes for you to get it.
Right.
I mean, because look at Houston. They had one drop-off box for the entire Harris County. No, I mean, I could go on and on about voter suppression. Let
me say a post office story. My neighbor works for the post office, and I went out to talk to him, and I had mail in my hand. He says, "Oh, you got my mail?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, I work for the post office. It wouldn't surprise me."
Right.
No, but and I agree with you on that. Vote early, because if you vote early and something happens and you can't vote that day, or you've been purged from the roll, or something comes up, you have time to react. If you wait until voting day, if you wait until November 5th, there's no coming back. There's no coming back. So
be nice. People are vulnerable right now. I believe that the Republican Party has been hijacked, and I don't think that any Republican should be president in the next 4 years, because I think they need to take their party back. We as in America need to take the party back from the far right thinking before it's too late, I
mean, there's really a great effort to turn the hands of time back. And I think about, one of our first sessions that we did on Project 2025 was Department of Education.
Yeah.
And how so many of the Native American and those schools and stuff would lose funding, and all these things that could happen that really would impact a number of communities of color, and not just communities of color, but even poor communities, and all sorts of things. Like you said on your flyer, when I looked at that earlier, when I got it, it's like, who would not be affected by this? Every one of us would be affected by it. And some of the people who are promoting it the most would be the most affected, and they don't even realize it's like you're making your own poison. And so very interesting.
Yeah.
Michelle, any last thoughts from you tonight?
Get out to vote. Go register to vote. Check your registration. If you have a mail-in ballot, drive it to the drop box. We drive ours to the drop box. We don't put them in the mail because we.
There you go. There you go. Get that vote. Get that vote in.
Yeah.
Get that vote
if you don't know if you're registered, check. Check. But go vote. Yes. Go vote.
Go vote.
No matter which way you vote, go vote.
And that's what I want to say too. It's like, we know how we are here. We know where we swing, but even if you're not, just participate in the process. Go vote. Encourage others to vote.
And get these young people to vote. 18 and over, 18 to 25, they need to vote.
They need to vote.
My children are very engaged in the civil process.
Right.
But they had amazing teachers in high school that got them involved, and they're still involved.
Yeah.
But everyone doesn't get that, and they don't know where even the responsibilities are. Just listening to some of the campaign rhetorics, I'm like, vice presidents can't do anything, really.
Right.
They
Well,
can't make
it's like the Harris
If
administration.
you knew your
It's
civil,
not a Harris
yeah,
administration. There
yes,
you go.
exactly. Just go vote.
Just go vote.
Just go
That's it.
vote.
And volunteer. I love
Yeah,
that. I
and
love
volunteer.
the volunteer. And so, well, thank you so much for taking the time out to come by. And my last word is like, man, I'm gonna have to watch this again because you dropped some
Yes, she did.
knowledge tonight.
Thank you.
Like, okay, I need my cliff notes. I need to go through this again. But thank you for being a wealth of information.
I'll send you the timeline of the dates that I referred to. And I sent you the Ziklag article. Was written by ProPublica. They've done some excellent journalism. If you visit my website and you go to the section like education, for example, or the military, I also include different journalism writings that do a way better job of explaining things than I do. You can click on that. And if it's the military, you can go to the Military Times. I tried to get specifics for those categories to explain better. So it's just references. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for being a resource and a reference for many. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Bottom line is, be a part of the process. Make sure you go out and vote. Make sure that you are registered. Check those registrations. And we are awesome to have you viewing with us tonight. And we will see you next week right here, same channel, same place. You stay safe in Florida.
Yes.
Let's talk real soon.
Thank you.
All right. God bless you, everybody.
Have a good night.